In countries like ours, in the Middle East or elsewhere, in China, where decision making is much more top down, the person at the top says it and therefore it shall be done. It's much more messy. The book is really a journey. I'm on a plane with the Secretary of State. In this instance, it was Hillary Clinton, whom I covered for 4 years. And we traveled around the world, and we went from Pakistan to Morocco to Kenya to China and Japan. And, we went everywhere. We traveled 300,000 miles with her. And you're really sitting, you have a front row seat to the making of American foreign policy. And you can ask American officials all the questions that you want. And sometimes they'll answer in full detail, and sometimes they'll obfuscate. But I always found that Clinton and her team were quite forthcoming and were willing to engage in a thoughtful conversation to try to explain their point of view. And they were also willing to listen. So the book that I've written is a journey. It is my journey as somebody who grew up on the receiving end of American power, trying to now elucidate and try to shed light on how American power works, having achieved the next step in my career where I end up on a plane with the Secretary of State traveling around the world, including to Beirut. It is a journey into the machine of American foreign policy. And it is a machine. I mean, it's huge. The State Department alone is a massive building. And then you have the Pentagon, and you have the executive office of the president, which sits next door to the White House. And then you have the National Security Council. And, in countries like ours, in the Middle East or elsewhere, in China, where decision making is much more top down, the person at the top says it and therefore it shall be done. It's much more messy within a U.S. administration.
Bureaucratic.
Trying to explain a little bit how that works and who are the human beings at the heart of this machine. Fallible human beings who don't have all the answers themselves as much as we think they do. They actually don't. And they're trying to do the best they can for their country, of course, with the information that they have at hand, which they're getting in real time. And so the result is a book that is addressed both to an American audience, which is why it was a bestseller in the US, to try to explain to them how their foreign policy is seen in the rest of the world, what role their country plays in this global order, to the benefit very often, of course, of the US itself. And I think that's something that became a real topic of debate and acrimony in the 2016 election in the US, where there is this reflexive tendency inside the electorate in the US to reject American power and involvement abroad. And, we can go into the goods and bads of that. But it also became a book definitely addressed to a global audience, which has questions about what is America? What is America about? And what is this foreign policy machine? And how does it work? And why does it sometimes not work? And what are the mistakes that are being made and why? To try to sort of, shed a light on something that is often discussed in sort of nefarious terms. There's a plot, there's a decision, there's a game being played, and of course, realpolitik is often a heartless game, but it's less dark and less methodical than we sometimes tend to believe.